Coffee is one of the most popular hot drinks in the world. Almost a third of the world's population drinks coffee. People often meet at cafes or coffee shops for a coffee break during the middle of the morning or stop work in the afternoon to drink coffee. About 7 million tons of coffee are produced every year. About a third of the world's production comes from this South American country. Other coffee-producing countries include Vietnam, Indonesia and Colombia. The United States is the biggest coffee consumer in the world. About 1.2 billion kilograms of coffee are consumed there every year. Drinking coffee is extremely popular in European countries, like Italy, France and Germany, as well as in Brazil. There are two basic types of coffee. Arabica accounts for about 70% of the world's coffee production. It is grown in the high regions of Central and South America and is popular for its flavor and fragrance. Although it makes up only 30% of the total coffee production, it has become more important because it can resist diseases better. It also has smaller beans and can grow at lower altitudes than Arabica. Coffee plants grow in the warm and moist climate of the tropics and subtropics. Most coffee trees grow best between 1,000 and 2,500 meters above sea level. Coffee trees produce fruits called berries. At first they are yellow, and then become red as they mature. An average coffee tree can produce enough berries to make about a pound of roasted coffee. Most coffee berries are picked by hand, which makes sure that only the good berries are used. After separating berries from leaves and other waste materials, the beans are then taken out, cleaned and dried. Only the best beans make it to the market. Then they are put into bags and shipped to countries where they are roasted. Coffee contains caffeine, a substance that stimulates parts of the body, especially heart and muscles. People often drink coffee to help them stay awake or keep them alert. Although coffee has some negative effects, it is not thought to be a harmful drink. At their destination, the beans are combined to make different blends of coffee. Roasting for about 15 minutes brings out the true flavor of the coffee. The roasted coffee beans are packaged, some of them are crushed to ground coffee. Children and people who have heart problems should not drink coffee in great quantities. In decaffeinated coffee, the caffeine is extracted in a chemical process. Grounding usually takes place inside a coffee machine, but you can also buy ground coffee in shops. The simplest brewing process is pouring boiling water over a filter of ground coffee and letting it flow into a pot. Coffee is often made by using simple machines that force hot water through a pad of pressed coffee. Espresso machines press hot water through ground coffee. Native Americans or Indians were the first people to live in the New World. They had been living there long before the first Europeans arrived. In 1492, Columbus sailed across the Atlantic Ocean to find a shorter and faster route to India. When he landed on an island near the American coast, he thought he had reached India, so he called the people he met there Indians. Many historians think that the first Indians came to the American continent from Asia over 20,000 years ago. At that time it was very cold and ice covered most of the northern part of our world. Indian tribes wandered across the strait and spread down to the southern part of South America. Newspapers belong to the oldest methods of getting information to the public and keeping people well informed on important events. They can cover more news in greater detail than other media, and reporters have more time to get the facts straight. Producing a newspaper requires speed and good organization. Daily newspapers print world, national and local news. Many of them also have a section about events that happen in the area in which the reader lives. Most dailies are distributed in the morning, but in some large cities newspapers have an afternoon or evening edition that comes out when people travel home from work. Sunday newspapers have additional features and more pages than weekday editions. Topics like entertainment, finance or travel are included in separate sections, which sometimes make Sunday papers so large that they are difficult to handle. In addition, many newspapers have their own online edition which provides news over the internet. Weekly papers are distributed in a much smaller area and have news that is more local and personal. In small communities, people know each other and are often interested in activities of their friends and neighbors. A newspaper employs various kinds of reporters. A beat reporter covers certain issues and topics, mostly over a longer period of time. He or she may report on a crime and the trial that follows. An education reporter follows topics related to schools and universities. Other beat reporters cover topics like fashion or science. General assignment reporters cover any story that they are given to by the editor. Sometimes reporters spend months trying to get stories on corruption and other wrongdoings. These stringers, as they are called, do not work for a paper, but send them stories regularly. Newspapers cannot have reporters and correspondents everywhere in the world. Most reporters only provide information and the basic facts of a story and rarely write the whole story themselves. This is usually done by news editors. They write stories as a team on computers that are connected together. The finished story goes to a copy editor or reader, who corrects spelling and makes the story easier to read. If it is too long, he makes it shorter and also finds a headline. The completed paper is transferred electronically from computers to the printing press. Most papers use offset printers in which the contents is put on curved printing plates. Everyday newspapers must be finished at a certain time, so that they can be delivered to the readers on time. A newspaper cannot exist without advertisements. They pay for at least 75% of all costs. The people who work in this department sell ads to individuals and companies. Newspapers carry two types of ads. Display ads can be as large as a full page and can also include illustrations and photos. The invention of computers in the 20th century has greatly changed the way newspapers are made. Today, reporters can save time by sending the main facts of their stories by email. Editors can easily make corrections with spell checkers. Articles are shuffled from one page to another, and color graphics and pictures make newspapers more attractive. Flooding has always been a part of human history. Many ancient civilizations developed along waterways and rivers because people needed water for their fields. Floods are not always destructive natural events. Before the High Dam was built, yearly floods in Egypt brought along nutrients and made the land around the Nile very fertile. At least once a year the plains around large rivers are flooded. This is due to the amount of water that rivers bring with them, because of heavy rainfall or melting snow in the mountainous regions. Thunderstorms can cause flash floods, in which small rivers can swell quickly and carry up to 10 times the normal amount of water. Coastal regions can also be affected by flooding. After earthquakes on the ocean floor, tsunamis can bring up to 15-meter high waves and flood the coast many miles inland. In 2004, a devastating tsunami in the Indian Ocean killed over 250,000 people in Indonesia, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and other countries. Floods are also caused by humans. Trees and plants normally help absorb too much water. When forests are cut or burned down, water from rainfall flows down barren land and produces mudslides. Too much water pressure on dams can lead to cracks in the concrete or even cause a dam to break completely. Today, flood protection has a high priority in countries that are in danger. Dams are built along rivers to regulate the flow of water. They are often connected with hydroelectric power plants. In some areas, rivers are dredged and their beds are laid deeper. In alpine regions, reservoirs are built to hold back water and control the flow of small rivers. In many areas, authorities provide quick and unbureaucratic help for people who have suffered from flooding. Special boats pick up people who are trapped on roofs or on the upper floors of buildings. Shelters are set up for people who are left homeless. Rebuilding after massive floods often takes months and sometimes even years.